Daniel Negreanu is looking down on King 10 offsuit. Pre-flop, this is Negreanu doing what every good straddler dreams of doing, punishing the limp fest. 4 players just flicking calls against his live straddle, essentially telling him, we do not have a raising hand. When he looks down at King 10 offsuit, it is not a monster, but in this configuration it becomes a weapon.
I'll go against my better judgment with this one.
He wants to play.
He bumps it up to 5,400, a size that taxes all the junky limp ranges and creates real money in the middle. Tony G decides to come along with Queen 3 suited. That call is very Tony. He has position, he has a suited hand, and he loves chaos. Strategically, it is loose but not insane when deep. And he gets Negreanu heads up, and that Negreanu is raising wide enough that post-flop aggression will matter more than raw hand strength. Once everyone else gets out of the way, those assumptions are live. This pot is now all about who tells the better story.
I have no idea what you have, just for the record.
The flop comes 7-8 jack with 2 spades, an absolute smash for the kind of hands Tony is supposed to defend with, and a very awkward board for a one-and-done c-bet from Negreanu. Negreanu checks with King 10. That check looks passive, but it quietly keeps his range uncapped. Tony, however, with Queen 3 of spades, does something that really shapes the hand. He takes the free card, and with it, he keeps his range face up. The turn is the 9, and that card flips the script in a way neither of them can see from the outside. Negreanu goes from decent equity to third best possible straight, but he does not rush to grab chips. He checks again. That second check is powerful. From Tony's seat, it looks like weakness, or at best, some kind of marginal showdown hand that did not want to bluff the flop and is now scared of the ever-worsening texture. For Tony, the 9 actually helps too. He now has Queen high with a gut shot to the 10 and his flush draw still live. The river pairs the jack, and this is where the hand becomes all about missed opportunity.
I got it straight.
Unbelievable. I mean, why can't I hit one time? It's like, I can't hit one hand. Played it so big, like, can't hit a hand at all.
Well, Daniel scoops up a nice pot of almost $64,000.
Daniel Negreanu is looking down on 5-4 suited. Pre-flopman. This is a classic clash between perceived strength and disguised equity. Johanna 3 bets big with ace-queen, exactly the kind of hand that wants to isolate the opener and play a bloated pot from position.
Okay, I bet.
Negreanu flats on the button with 5-4 of hearts, fully aware that he is dominated high card-wise but armed with a hand that smashes low, connected boards. Once George gets out of the way, Johanna thinks she has created a clean heads-up spot against a capped calling range.
I pay.
When in reality, she has invited one of the worst possible suited connectors to the party. The flop comes a disaster for Johanna's range. Her overcards and backdoor possibilities shrink in value while Negreanu quietly connects as hard as it gets, a made straight with a live flush draw. When she continuation bets 100,000, it is completely standard. This is the board she is supposed to attack after 3-betting pre. Negreanu just check calls, and that passive line is lethal. From her side, it looks like exactly what she wants to see. The turn brings the ace, finally giving Johanna top pair on top of her draw and seemingly flipping the script. She barrels 200,000, and now Negreanu springs the trap, check raising to 500,000. That raise is polar, strong value, or big bluffs, and against most players, ace-queen with a strong draw feels too good to fold.
500. 3 more.
Negreanu's line almost never contains bluffs here. He has been slow playing on an ultra-wet flop, and the ace is a perfect card for him to attack.
I'm all in.
I call.
An all-in and a call.
I have it. She has a flush draw too?
4 or 5 of hearts for
8 of hearts for her. Sick hand, huh?
That doesn't help her.
That was very unlucky.
Wow, what a hand.
Yeah.
Tony G is looking down on 7 deuce suited. Pre-flop, this starts as a very simple spot that turns into a textbook example of how board texture can flip the script.
I raise it, don't worry, it's like a present, it's not even...
Tony G opens with the absolute bottom of the deck. He is trying to win the pot uncontested or set up a bluff later.
Call.
It's not even anything.
Come on, Elizabeth. Punish him.
I can guarantee you have
He's
the
got
best
plenty.
hand.
It's not even gonna...
Vanessa Russo punished me something sweet. That was the sweetest punishment anyone ever received.
Tony bets 2,000.
On paper, this is a dream board for Houston. She still has a big overpair, and Tony has mostly missed.
Don't get into trouble here. This is dangerous territory.
Houston's raise to 6,000 is logical. She wants value while also denying equity to random overcards. The turn brings the Jack of Clubs, putting a third club on the board and completing a lot of the hands Houston is worried about. Tony leads 10,000 into a pot of roughly 15,500, and that bet is designed to make Houston's life miserable. The sizing is large enough that if she continues, she is essentially committing to play for a big river pot with a one-pair hand and no club. From her perspective, she raised the flop, got called, and now faces a strong bet on a card that crushes her exact holding. Against Tony's reputation, it might feel like a bluff, but when you replay the hand from his range instead of his actual cards, it is very easy to give him flushes, sets, or queen jack.
It's a sick lay down. But I know I got it too. Did you catch a flush?
I'm qualified.
Are you gonna show me?
I show you one card. I can't show both. That would be unfair.
Oh, okay.
She does.
I gotta mix it up, don't I?
I'm gonna hate you, aren't I? Yeah.
You think
You
he just,
bastard.
You bastard!
Why?
I had kings.
That would have been the same situation.
Tony G is looking down on King 4 suited. Pre-flop, this pot starts out as a fairly standard multi-way situation that quietly plants the seeds for a brutal cooler. Harlow opens with Ace-9, Antonio peels in position with King-Jack, and Tony G overcalls with King 4 suited. From Tony's side, this is loose but very on-brand. He is in there to play pots, especially deep stacked and in position on an amateur opener. Behind them, the blinds come along, and you get exactly the kind of bloated, almost family pot where dominated kings and weird suited holdings collide.
Here he comes. You've been quiet, Phil. Preserving your lead.
Not really, I check.
The flop texture massively favors the kind of speculative, wide calling range Tony brought to the pot. He flops top and bottom 2 pair, while Antonio hits what looks like a very strong top pair with King-Jack. After Hellmuth and Harlow check, Antonio's continuation bet for 4,200 into the field is completely logical. He charges draws, gets value from worse kings and tens, and represents the strong pre-flop range he had by flatting the raise in position. Tony's raise to 15,000 is the key inflection point. With 2 pair on a coordinated board, he wants to punish exactly hands like Antonio's, forcing them to pay a premium to continue. The raise size is big enough to thin the field and make life uncomfortable for single-pair hands, but not so huge that it blows them off. Hellmuth and Harlow correctly get out of the way. Antonio, holding top pair with a strong kicker and some backdoor straight equity, is never folding to a single raise and makes the call, likely putting Tony on King 10, a bluff, or some kind of combo draw.
What do you have left?
Antonio checks.
You want exact count?
No, it's fine.
And Tony's decision to check back is deceptively strong. With 2 pair on a now even scarier board, betting again would inflate the pot against a range that has improved to many strong 1 pair plus draw hands. The river ends the hand in one swing. It gives Tony a full house, kings full of 4s, and upgrades Antonio from a strong but beatable top pair to trip kings with a big kicker. After checking twice, Antonio now leads 20,000. This is a classic value bet sizing, targeting exactly the kind of hands he thinks Tony might have slow played, Queen 10 or maybe a stubborn King 9 that check turn for pot control. Tony's response is a cold-blooded shove, an enormous raise over the river stab that polarizes his range to absolute monsters or air. In theory, that sizing should make Antonio very suspicious. There are not that many natural bluffs that take this line, and the full house region is heavily concentrated in Tony's loose pre-flop range. But in practice, when you have trip kings with a strong kicker, have seen your opponent check back a dangerous turn, and the pot is already large, folding feels almost impossible.
What the hell did you check the turn with, Tony? All right, call.
Antonio calls all in and sees the bad news.
I see.
Tony wins a pot of 150 grand.
Chips.
Hellmuth is looking down on pocket kings. Pre-flop, this is a classic clash between raw power and disguised strength. Tony G opens light, Mercier flats on the button with pocket threes, and Hellmuth in the blind wakes up with kings.
Raise pot.
His raise to 8,600 is a big, old-school squeeze sizing that tries to punish Tony's wide open and isolate one player. When Tony gets out of the way and
You got a couple of hundred on and I'll play every time pre-flop. Why don't you add some more money on, Phil? I'll give you a flip every time then. See what sort of a genius you are then.
Mercier calls, the dynamic is already set. Phil has defined his range as extremely strong, while Jason has a capped, small pair suited connector, looking range that wants to see flops and play poker post-flop. The flop comes down a nightmare texture for Phil, 9, queen, 3, all clubs. Mercier absolutely smashes it with bottom set on a monotone board, while Phil's overpair is in danger of being dead against any made flush or set. The turn pairs the queen, giving Mercier a full house and freezing a lot of Phil's perceived flushes. Jason checks again, continuing the trap. Now Phil feels safer. Paired boards mean fewer flushes and more chance his overpair is best. So he fires 7,000 as a delayed c-bet that targets exactly hands like tens, jacks, or a bare club. Mercier springs the trap with a raise. That line screams polarized, either a queen, a big flush, or a bluff. With kings and the king of clubs, Phil decides to hang on and call, planning to reevaluate rivers. The river brings a fourth club, completing every possible flush and leaving full houses at the absolute top. From Mercier's seat, this is perfect. The story he has told of a strong queen or big flush is still completely consistent, and his actual hand, a full house, comfortably beats both. He jams, ripping in the rest of his stack.
Come on, what in the heck is going on here? This is ridiculous. This is what happens to me when I play in these frickin' cash games.
Now you're back to yourself. That's better.
I couldn't hold it in.
I was worried I lost you.
God, this is so brutal.
Jason's betting big here, having a pretty good idea Phil's got a premium hand.
How much is it?
67.9.
Phil folds.
That's a one we gotta show.
Phil gets away from it and saves himself almost 70 grand.
Felt like a sick bluff, sir. Sick. Or pocket nines. Either or.
God, that's so brutal. Could have been worse. If I bet the flop, I'd just ship it with him.
Phil Ivey is looking down on ace-9 offsuit. Pre-flop, this is a very normal configuration for a tough final table. Ivey opens from early position with a hand that is comfortably ahead of the blind's defending range and plays well post-flop in position. In the big blind, Quas defends ace-5 offsuit. He is getting a good price. He closes the action, and against an elite but wide opener like Ivey, ace-x with a wheel card is a perfectly reasonable defend, even though it will be dominated sometimes. The flop comes one of those low, disconnected boards where the pre-flop raiser still has the range advantage, but the big blind has all the weird two-pair and straight combos. Quas checks his overcard plus gut shot, and Ivey fires 80,000. With two overcards to the board, some backdoor possibilities, and a huge image, his continuation bet will fold out a lot of total air and small pocket pairs. Quas's call with ace-5 is very standard. He has ace-high, 4 to a wheel, and he keeps Ivey's range wide. The turn adds more straight possibilities and a second heart, but does not actually improve either hand. Quas checks a second time, and Ivey now taps the table back. That check is important. By declining to barrel, Ivey controls the pot with what is often just ace-high and also keeps his range looking a bit capped. The river ace changes everything. Both players finally make top pair, but Ivey's 9 kicker quietly crushes Quas's 5. Quas checks a third time and Ivey goes for value with 150,000. The story he tells is very believable. missed spade draws and random floats bluffing, or an ace that played pot control on the turn and now bets for value. Sitting there with ace-5, having seen Ivey check back the previous street, Cvetes is almost forced to pay it off. Phil Laak is looking down at ace-10 offsuit.
How much you have, Phil, today? 100?
He's the man, right?
I'll count it in a second. After this hand, I'll count it.
It's okay, Phil. I don't care that much. I know you're dying to count it anyway.
Pre-flop sets the stage for an intense battle between a Hollywood director and a poker eccentric. Cvetes raises to 2,000 with queens. In a full ring game, this is a premium monster, but in a battle of the blinds, it is an absolute sledgehammer. He is looking to extract maximum value from the big blind. Phil Laak, holding ace-10 offsuit, finds himself in a mandatory defense spot. While ace-10 can be a trouble hand that wins small pots and loses big ones, folding an ace to a single raise in a heads-up scenario is simply too tight. The flop falls a Broadway-heavy texture that creates an immediate stalemate. The turn is the 6. Laak decides the free pass is over. This is a classic probe bet. Laak is testing the waters, representing a weak king. Cvetes is not going anywhere. He views Laak's bet as a stab at a pot nobody seemed to want. The river is the queen, the most dramatic card in the deck. It hits Cvetes perfectly, improving him to a set of queens. He believes he has just spiked a monster that will win a healthy pot. Unfortunately,
24,200.
I call.
And Nick Cvetes runs worse than the car in the driveway of every horror movie.
I mean, how good can one fish run? Huh? Is that sick or what?